From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Bandits abduct 25 schoolgirls in Kebbi State as U.S. Congress is set to begin hearing in alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria. President Tinubu warns judiciary against corruption, urges institution to make justice affordable for all Nigerians. Exiled Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina sentenced to death in absentia for crimes against humanity.
In business, Nigeria's headline inflation eases to 16.05% in October from 18.02% in September 2025.
And in sports, former two-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua is set for a return to the ring next month against YouTube celebrity Jake Paul.
A warm welcome. Tonight begins now. We begin tonight at Government Girls Secondary School in Maga, Kebbi State, where 25 schoolgirls have been abducted and their vice principal killed in bandits' deadly attack on the premises. The gunmen stormed Government Girls Comprehensive Senior Secondary School on Sunday night, shooting Vice Principal Hassan Makuku as he tried to protect his students. Witnesses say the attackers met no resistance and caused widespread panic across the community. Kebbi State Police has since confirmed the abductions as authorities are currently assessing the situation in the community. Now let's run you through the timeline of school attacks and abductions by Boko Haram terrorists in Nigeria. In 2014, Boko Haram burst into global stage with the abduction of 276 Chibok schoolgirls in Borno State. Now, 4 years later, in 2018, its fighters abducted 110 schoolgirls from a college in Yobe State in the northeast. In 2020, gunmen on motorcycles attacked a government secondary school in Katsina State and abducted more than 300 boys. The state government announced their release within the week. Now, in 2021, gunmen abducted more than 317 schoolgirls in a nighttime raid on a government secondary boarding school in Zamfara State. Within weeks, all were released after the apparent payment of a ransom. On March the 7th, 2024, the abduction of 287 students, 150 girls and 137 boys and a teacher was reported in the Kuriga community, Chikum local government area of Kaduna State. And then we had last night, Sunday, November the 16th, 2025, where gunmen stormed Government Girls Comprehensive Senior Secondary School in Maga, Kebbi State, shooting dead Vice Principal Hassan Makuku and abducting a total of 25 schoolgirls who were still missing as at news time. We can confirm that reactions have continued to trail the abduction of girls from the federal government secondary school in Kebbi State. Now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has condemned the latest wave of violent attacks across the country. In a message posted on his X handle on Monday, Atiku described the senior attack as devastating, calling it a stark reminder of how exposed many communities remain in the face of rising insecurity. He also denounced the killing of APC chieftain Umar Muriki and the mass abduction in Zamfara's Safe local government area, where entire families, women and children included, were seized by armed groups. Still on security matters, the United States House of Representatives Subcommittee on Africa will hold an open hearing on Thursday, November 20, 2025, to examine President Donald Trump's recent redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. If upheld, the move allows Washington to penalize officials linked to abuses. The hearing will be chaired by Representative Chris Smith at the Rayburn House Office Building. Nigerian Christian leaders and diplomats will provide key testimony. In a related development, the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria has urged the U.S. Congress to withdraw its recommendation for targeted sanctions after lawmakers linked the group to serious violations of religious freedom in Nigeria. In a resolution introduced on November 4, Smith Christopher, member of the House of Representatives, recommended visa bans and asset freezes as sanctions on members of Makban and the Miyetti Allah Katahore. Speaking at a press conference on Sunday in Abuja, Baba Ngelzama, Makban president, said the association had written the U.S. Congress through the American embassy in Abuja, urging lawmakers to strike its name from the list of entities. So much going on. Let's begin the conversation with the most recent incident of the schoolgirls' abduction. And to discuss that, we have retired Major General Chris Olukolade. Thank you for being here with us tonight. General, with this latest abduction in Kebbi, many Nigerians are drawing chilly comparisons to the Chibok and Dapchi cases. What does this say about the evolution or lack of our counter-kidnapping strategy in the Northwest, especially around our schools?
Well, thank you for having me. This incident is another embarrassing dimension of our security situation. And from all indications, it gives a lot of concern. With the review you made earlier, this will be the 6th of such incidents since the degeneration in our security situation. Ordinarily, the assumption was that this tendency was going down because of measures in place for schools' protection. But with this incident, gives another reason to not only pay attention to that dimension of the security situation, but to step up measures to protect our schools and our children.
Given the trauma, the media attention, and the global scrutiny these attacks bring, why do you think these patterns of mass schoolgirls abductions keep repeating itself? What are we missing strategically or institutionally?
What we are losing is the assurance to our children and even the nation that they are secure, and also indicating some degeneration in the situation security-wise. And worst of all, giving the impression that the security situation is not very palatable. The incident in this instance also tend to give some credence or some encouragement to terrorists to have a feel that they are succeeding, as against the belief that their outfits have been, degenerated. But from this instance, they want to give the impression that they are still very much in action. It could be propaganda apart, but they are scoring that point, unfortunately. And what it means is that the necessity to curtail this menace still remains very necessary.
In your view, what practical military or perhaps joint force response should now be deployed immediately, not just to rescue these girls, but to deter future attacks?
You're right, and I believe that measure is on. Normally, in situations like this, the concern is to ensure that these children are rescued unhurt and as quickly as possible, to reunite with their families, but also to assure the public and the nation that the security of their children in school and even their societies are still guaranteed by the efforts of government agencies. In this instance, you will note that there are a lot of operations all over the Federation, and that will mean that the clamor for the whole of society approach to improving our security see so much in need. That means everybody has an input to make. In this instance, it's not just even the military. I think all the entire security apparatus. In the instance of this latest abduction, evidently the focus will not be on the military, but on the security agencies in that area, considering the fact that major military operations are, yes, some are ongoing in that Kebbi state, but not as overwhelming as the other parts of the operation. And for that reason, it calls for the input of everybody. You will see that at the moment, it is the state government that is handling the information on this situation. And what this means is everybody should be working to ensure that we achieve that desire to have these children back as quickly as possible and often.
I mean, these situations are avoidable. When we had the Chibok and the Dapchi and the other boys that were kidnapped, we got assurances that schools in known high-risk zones will be protected, but they are still vulnerable despite all the promises of reinforced security. How can we improve preparedness around schools, especially in volatile areas?
In reference to the Chibok incidents, you know that that's the first of such incidents that shocked the nation. And like you mentioned, after that, a lot of measures were put in place to assure safety in schools. These incidents should make us know that we should rev up those arrangements and ensure that our schools are safe. The Safe School Initiative of government since the Chibok incident should be revved up and improved upon. And I think this is a wake-up call for agencies that not just in areas that are prone to massive military operations, but all over the Federation. Naturally, the terrorists will look at places that look vulnerable and less protected to attack and score this kind of points we have scored in this instance. So the agencies should rev up that arrangement for safe school and ensure that every Nigerian is alert to ensure that not just incidents of this nature, but the tendency of terrorists to penetrate our societies and come right into the city to perpetrate mayhem, reduce or at least curtailed.
All right, General Chris Olukolade, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you for the privilege. Good evening.
Good night. A push for a more gender-responsive and balanced policing system in Nigeria has taken a new dimension as stakeholders gathered at the House of Representatives to examine a proposed amendment to the Nigeria Police Act to allow women fair representation across recruitment, promotion, training, among others. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, tells us more.
Commenced in Abuja as the issue has persisted for decades despite repeated calls for reform. This public hearing is expected to tackle this challenge as lawmakers are proposing an amendment to the Nigeria Police Act. The proposal seeks to mandate a minimum of 15% women representation in police recruitment and introduce gender-responsive reforms across training, posting, discipline, and career progress.
The amendment will promote the recruitment, promotion, and creation of friendly working environment for women. It will provide training scheme for women that will equip them with the requisite skill and knowledge they need to excel in the job.
For lawmakers, the bill, according to them, is anchored on fairness and will lead to effective policing that reflects the diversity of the society.
At its core, this bill seeks to justice, fairness, and the recognition that effective policing must draw strength from diversity.
Representatives from the Ministry of Police Affairs, the National Human Rights Commission, and members of civil society groups have welcomed the proposal, describing it as a necessary step towards addressing issues of cultural and societal biases that limit women's entry into the force.
Inserting the provisions that will address gender historical gaps and discriminatory provisions affecting women in the police force is an applaudable step in the revolutionizing the Nigerian police force, against which the ministry has no objection.
We agree with the proposal. That is the position of the Police Service Commission.
Some of them also called for fair representation of women and girls with disabilities.
Women with disabilities face unique challenges, and deliberate inclusion is necessary to address their exclusion from governance and policy making.
Beyond representation, experts argue that higher women inclusion improves handling of gender-based crimes and cases where victims often feel more secure when speaking with female police officers. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
Thank you, Idong. Coming up tonight, ADC coalition unveils new National Secretariat in Abuja ahead of 2027 general elections. We have details of this and many more after the break. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Bandits abduct 25 schoolgirls in Kebbi State as U.S. Congress is set to begin hearing in alleged Christian genocide. President Tinubu warns judiciary against corruption, urges institution to make justice affordable for all Nigerians. Exiled Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina sentenced death in absentia for crimes against humanity. Thank you for being here. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, has unveiled its new National Secretariat complex in Abuja as it positions itself for the upcoming general elections. While declaring the facility open on Monday, the party noted that the 2027 general elections will not be business as usual. The unveiling ceremony was attended by the party's national chairman, Senator David Mark, and its national publicity secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi. In his address, Mark described the new secretariat as more than an administrative edifice, calling it a symbol of the party's renewed commitment to discipline, integrity, accountability, and service.
It is a physical testament to our collective resolve to build a greater nation. When we began this journey, many doubted us, while some questioned our motives. But as we take this step forward, we make it clear that this ADC is a historic child of necessity inspired by people's desire for good governance and service to the people, for greater accountability, and for a stronger democracy.
The party will be fair to everyone concerned. And as long as there is fairness and justice, if you look at those other parties we are talking about, at the root of what we call their crisis is injustice and lack of fairness to party members and other leaders. So we as ADC, like the chairman said today, it's not going to be business as usual. And we believe that as long as we continue to play by those principles that have brought us here into the coalition, we will continue, even when problems arise, we can deal with them.
Not business as usual, playing by principles. Well, let's get some perspective from one who should know. He joins us from Abuja, Chike Okogu. He is the ADC National Leader for Persons with Disabilities. Thank you for joining us tonight. This looks to be a milestone for the ADC. But beyond the optics and the very great comments, what's really in it after unveiling a national headquarters?
What is in it after unveiling? The real work begins. It was renewed hope. Now we have the real hope. Nigerians, you can tell, 10 years ago, how much was your dollar? If you had $1, you could exchange it for 150 naira. Today, if you have $1, it's 1,500 naira. 10 times the valuation of the naira. Should we fold our hands and watch? No. I used to buy petrol to charge my wheelchair and all those. For how much per liter back then? It was 91 naira per liter. So
you're heading to the fact that ADC is here to change all of that, right? But before you do, there are...
Business as usual.
Okay. We know that prior to this announcement, I mean, it's a significant milestone, but a lot of persons were expecting people like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi. Specifically, I think your party addressed the concerns about the fact that the premises that is being used as your national headquarters used to be Atiku's presidential campaign office. Are you satisfied with the explanation being given? Do you think that people are happy with that explanation and the citing of your office?
First and foremost, we are building a party. We are not building individuals. The time for heroism is gone. This is the time for people to come in a collective manner to work hard and produce the real governance that Nigeria desires and deserves. It's not about former Vice President Atiku. It's not about Peter Obi. When we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. And now let me tell you, I know for a fact that several buildings in this Abuja were paid for. And the buildings were, when we finish paying, going through all the legal whatever that we need to go through, this current party administration, party administration, they will go behind and harass the landlords and all that. One of the things they told us was that we couldn't brand the buildings. How do you have a political party without branding? It cannot happen. So the former Vice President Atiku, in his own magnanimity, said, use my own campaign office. It is there, it's an edifice there for you. So Atiku does not own the party. The party owns Atiku. And here we're talking about power with, not power for or power under. We're having a collective power sharing. So, of course, former presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, Mr. Rotimi Amechi was there today. You saw him in the clip there. Other notable Nigerians were there. Hajiya Najatu Mohammed was there. We can go former Edo State.
But isn't it curious that some of these people, in July it was a coalition. Now it's a party, and it's still a coalition, but you're expecting that some of these members who have joined the coalition will resign formally from their parties and join yours.
Many of them are.
Why do you think, if they're so committed to the ADC, that they are dragging their foot? They are yet to formally declare for the ADC.
No, hold on. Nobody's dragging their foot. When the coalition happened in July, parties had started campaigning for elections. We had a number of elections. We had the senatorial seats elections and in Anambra and some other states. So the old ADC had fielded candidates in those elections. And as a coalition, of course, you know how it is. We were still learning how to understand and manage each other. Names had been fielded, and of course, certain interests and sentiments were there. Now we're preparing for Osun election. Now we're preparing for Ekiti election. Now you will see the real ADC. And hold on, when you come into a game, or like they say in Africa, when a chicken or a bird or whatever, a chicken particularly enters a new arena, it first stands on one foot. So that was what was happening. But I tell you, all the names and people behind the coalition, I mean, what are you talking about? The National Organizing Secretary of ADC today is Barrister Chinedu Idigo from Mr. Peter Obi's end.
I still have so many questions for you, but I'm told we're time constrained. But there's one important question I must ask. Are you satisfied with the level of participation of persons with disabilities in elections and governance in Nigeria? This is not about ADC now. And what would you like to see changed in the coming elections? As quickly as you can, please.
Remove all barriers, and that is what ADC has done. ADC did that with that building today. ADC is doing that today with technology. We're removing all barriers. That's why somebody like me on a wheelchair, spinal cord injury, can sit comfortably here and talk to Nigerians. So ADC, this is a new mantra. This is a new beginning. This is a new deal for Nigerians. Inclusion, inclusion, inclusion. And indeed,
all right, okay. I look forward to speaking with you another time. Thank you for obliging us tonight. Staying with politics, Speaker of the Taraba State House of Assembly, Kizito Bonzena, has announced his resignation from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. He also said he has now chosen to move to the All Progressive Congress, APC, citing issues with factionalization of the PDP at the national level. He said 15 other PDP House of Assembly members have also forwarded their letters to defect from the PDP to the APC. They include the Deputy Speaker, the Majority Leader. The Speaker added that the decision is not personal, but for the collective interest of the state. Still ahead tonight, chairs in Bangladesh as former Prime Minister is sentenced to death. More when we return. Now to one of our top stories tonight. President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to building a stronger, more accountable and technology-driven judiciary as he declared open the 2025 All-Nigerian Judges Conference of the Supreme Court. He urges the benches to shun corruption and make justice accessible for all. News Centro's State House correspondent, Bettina Uweli, has more.
The president acknowledged growing public concerns about delays, corruption, and declining trust in judicial processes, emphasizing that these perceptions must not be ignored. He pledged tangible institutional support, improved welfare, modern court infrastructure, and full digitization of judicial processes to ensure faster, transparent, and more credible justice delivery.
The bench must never become a sanctuary for compromise. Corruption in any form or any arm of government weakens the nation, but corruption in judiciary destroys it to the core. When justice is compromised, government loses its integrity and democracy loses its foundation. With utmost seriousness, the modernization of judicial infrastructure remains a central priority. Technology is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. The digitization of our core process, the adoption of integrated cases management system, and the provision of secured and reliable judicial facilities will receive sustained attention from this administration.
Earlier, the Chief Justice of Nigeria welcomed participants to the conference, describing the theme Building a Confident Judiciary as timely and essential for restoring public trust. She urged judges to confront inefficiencies, strengthen ethics, and champion true judicial independence.
We must address the persistent issues of outdated infrastructure, intellectual complacency, and corruption challenges that have hindered our efficiency and undermined public trust. To build a confident judiciary, we must rise above obstacles and ensure that justice is dispensed with integrity, impartiality, and transparency.
As deliberations continue, expectations remain high that the resolutions from this year's conference will mark a decisive step towards rebuilding public confidence in Nigeria's justice system. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Uweli.
Toastmasters Nigeria has marked its 20th anniversary with a celebratory dinner in Lagos. The organization, which now has a presence in over 100 countries, used the event to reflect on 2 decades of leadership development and communication excellence. News Centre's Placidia Wekulie has the story.
It was an evening of reflection and celebration as Toastmasters Nigeria honored its 20-year journey. One built on the powerful mission of building leaders through words, where every speech inspires growth.
I'm sitting here in a room that's celebrating a club that is 20 years old.
Goodwill messages from past and current Toastmasters executives highlighted the organization's impact across Nigeria and beyond, especially in grooming confident speakers and effective leaders.
The transformative power of Eagle Toastmasters can be seen in this room and beyond. Leadership is not inherited. It is rehearsed, refined, and revealed through service.
What Toastmaster represents for me is a place where leaders are made. It's a place where you have to carry yourself as a leader. It's a place where your voice must be heard.
The keynote speaker paid tribute to the founding father of the Eagle Toastmasters Club, while members and guests emphasized the club's influence and its vision for the future.
So to sit here and watch them acknowledging where they came from 20 years later, it's powerful, and I know my father will be proud.
And I'm seeing such people stand before this audience and deliver. So what we do in Toastmasters is to help you and encourage you to be better speakers and better leaders.
A major highlight of the night was a documentary capturing the formation of the Eagle Toastmasters Club and its evolution over the years. The film traced its growth from a small gathering to a vibrant community, shaping communicators across Lagos. As members looked ahead, the message is clear. The next decade will focus on mentorship, leadership, and equipping more Nigerians with the skills to speak confidently, lead effectively, and influence meaningfully.
Outside our shores, Ethiopia has confirmed 3 deaths from the Marburg virus in the southern city of Jinka. Health Minister Nekdes Daba says an investigation has commenced into other suspected deaths. At a press conference on Monday, Daba said the Ethiopian Society Institute Reference Laboratory had tested 17 suspected cases and confirmed 3 deaths. The health ministry said 3 other people with symptoms consistent with Marburg have died despite lacking laboratory confirmation, while 129 contacts are being monitored. It said rapid response teams have been deployed to affected areas. Emergency centers and medical facilities have been reinforced. And to South Asia, a Bangladesh War Crimes Tribunal has sentenced former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to death in absentia, ruling she was responsible for crimes against humanity during the deadly 2024 student-led uprising. Prosecutors said security forces under her command used helicopters, drones, and live rounds in a crackdown that killed more than 1,000 people. The verdict, broadcast live nationwide, also condemned former Home Minister Asaduzaman Khan to death, while the former police chief received 5 years after turning state witness. Hasina, who has lived in exile in India since her ouster in August 2024, has dismissed the charges as politically driven. Her Awami League party called the ruling a kangaroo verdict aimed at eliminating opposition ahead of upcoming elections. We'll be back with business, sports, and entertainment news. Please don't go away.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
In business, Nigeria's inflation eased for the 7th consecutive month, dropping to 16.05% in October from 18.02% in September, according to new data from the National Bureau of Statistics. The NBS noted that while prices remain high, the pace of increase has continued to slow. Year-on-year inflation fell sharply from 33.88% recorded in October 2024. Now, food inflation also moderated, supported by a new base year, though monthly figures showed slight increases driven by high prices of onions, fruits, groundnuts, and meats. Core inflation similarly declined to 18.69% in October. Let's also tell you that light rains across Ivory Coast's cocoa belt are strengthening expectations for a stronger October to March main crop, farmers said on Monday. And though the dry season has begun, above average rains in key regions have helped small and meat-based pods mature ahead of the peak harvesting in December. Farmers report a good bean quality and anticipate higher output next month as more pods ripen. While some areas recorded a below-average rainfall, growers say continued showers until mid-December would support trees through the Harmattan and extend the harvest into next year. A market report will be back. That's going to be after the short timeout. Do stay with us. Now we look at the equities markets. The market opened the week on a softer note, even as we see that the all-share index fell to 145,159.77 points, down 1.26%. We see market capitalization at 92.32 trillion naira, with a difference of minus 1.26%. Well, despite the bearish close, activity levels were mixed as investors traded 388.18 million shares worth 31.14 billion naira in 28,485 deals. Now we look at sectoral performance, starting with the banking sector, which actually declined 1.01%. As sell pressure actually continued across tier 1 counters. Insurance inched up 0.07%, supported by light bargain hunting. Oil and gas fell 0.32%, reflecting mild weakness in key energy consumers. Consumer goods also down 0.02%, showing a largely muted session. And finally, industrial goods also down 4.48% due to strong sell-offs in the major cement stocks. Well, today's session showed mixed participation, but a clear risk of tone. That's it on business. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
In sports, Super Eagles coach Eric Sherrill has praised his players' efforts despite their failure to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Nigeria's World Cup dreams were dashed following that loss to DR Congo in the playoff final via penalties at the Moulay El Hassan Stadium in Rabat last night in Morocco. The result means Nigeria will not play at 2 consecutive FIFA World Cup tournaments for the first time since making their debut in 1994. The DR Congo, on the other hand, will now compete in the Inter-Confederation playoffs in March 2026, aiming to secure a spot in the World Cup. Speaking after the match, Sherrill praised his team's efforts and their willpower.
Voilà, donc maintenant ce que j'en pense, moi je pense que on pouvait pas faire mieux. Donc on s'est battu à la solidarité, à l'énergie pour essayer d'arriver à cette séance de penalty. Et ils ont tout donné, mes joueurs ont tout donné, donc je suis très content de cet état d'esprit qu'ils ont affiché. Maintenant, comme vous l'avez dit, on a piqué du nez. Et encore une fois, le Congo, c'est une belle équipe, hein, ça joue bien. Hein. On a essayé de colmater les brèches. Voilà, on a une occasion en fin de première.
Elsewhere, players from the tiny Caribbean island of Curacao are just 90 minutes away from creating World Cup history. If they avoid defeat against Jamaica on Tuesday night, the team will be guided by, of course, the former Netherlands manager, Dick Advocaat. He will qualify the team for the finals for the first time. The 78-year-old is in charge of his 8th national side after 3 spells with the Netherlands, as well as coaching the United Arab Emirates, South Korea, Belgium, Russia, Serbia, and Iraq. If he manages Curacao at the finals, he will become the oldest manager at a men's World Cup, beating Otto Rehagal's record when he was in charge of Greece, aged 71 in 2010. If Curacao qualifies, they will become the smallest nation ever to play at the World Cup, as they have a population of just over 150,000 people. Now, France captain Kylian Mbappe on Monday claimed 263 million euros from Paris Saint-Germain in an escalating dispute over the status of his contract and how his former club treated him. PSG countersued Mbappe, who moved to Real Madrid in 2024, for 240 million euros in Paris Labour Court, basing that figure on a botched 300 million euro transfer to Saudi club Al Hilal, which the player refused. The 26-year-old initially filed a complaint in June over the way he was treated by PSG at the start of the 2023-2024 season. He scored 256 goals in 308 games for PSG, and after 7 seasons, he joined Real Madrid on a free transfer last summer, where he earns a reported annual salary of 30 million euros. And that's a wrap on Sports Update. I am Udoka Njoku.
Time for entertainment news, and Adewo, hi, over to you.
How you doing? I'm good to see you. We're both twinning, yeah? Black on black.
Black on black.
All right, so let's jump right into what's happening in entertainment right now. Now, the Lagos State government has confirmed that the actor Baba Ijesha has been added to the state sex offenders register, dismissing viral claims that he was cleared of sexual assault. Now, that was a conversation that took social media by storm. Now, the domestic and sexual violence agency described the reports, mainly pushed by actor Yomi Fabi, as false and culpable of misleading the public. The Attorney General Lawal Pedro clarified that Baba Ijesha's conviction for his 2021 sexual assault of a minor still stands, and his recent release from prison was simply because he completed his sentence. The Court of Appeal only overturned early charges from 2013 to 2014, but upheld the 2021 conviction, and the Supreme Court later dismissed his appeal as well. Now, authorities warn they may prosecute anyone spreading misinformation about the case. So that's why we decided to come here to make it clear to you of what really happened. Now, quickly, let's go on to the abroad, something that got social media all, worked up, as Nicki Minaj is set to take the stage at the United Nations event in New York on Tuesday, where she'll be speaking about the alleged jihadist attack on Christians in Nigeria. She'll appear alongside U.S. Ambassador Michael Waltz and Trump's advisor Alex Bruthwitz, who organized the event. The news first broke on X, and Waltz praised Minaj as not just a superstar, but a principled voice unafraid to confront injustice. Minaj thanked him, saying she takes the responsibility seriously and believes her influence should serve a higher purpose. The event follows Donald Trump's claim of Christian genocide in Nigeria, and she pushed to classify the country as a country of particular concern. Now, Nigerian government has firmly dismissed this allegation, but it's quite interesting to know that Nicki Minaj will be speaking on that. Felicity, do you have anything to say about this? Because social media went crazy.
I'm just curious in what capacity she's speaking on a matter as sensitive as that. But let's see what she has to say.
Let's see what she has to say. Well, that's all we have on entertainment tonight, by the way.
That's the size of our package tonight. But before we go, here's a quick recap of our top stories Bandits abduct 25 schoolgirls in Kebbi State as U.S. Congress is set to begin hearing in alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria. President Tinubu warns judiciary against corruption, urges the institution to make justice affordable for all. Exiled Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina sentenced to death in absentia for crimes against humanity. I'd love to hear from you. Please share your feedback using the phone number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on all social media platforms as well to do that at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Apple TV and on YouTube. Thank you very much for being here. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.